Okay, in this video we want to give you a pre-flight check of the Stingray. You finished building it, you finished setting up the TG multi, you finished bundling the wires, and you're about to go fly. I want to just give you some suggestions on things to look at and check before you fly it. First thing I would do is just take your Phillips, your 1.5mm wrench and 2.5mm wrench, go through the model, check all the bolts you can see. Check everything, make sure it's all snug, nothing's about to come off. It's just good to double check all of the bolts. On the belts, you want to make sure your directions of your rotors are turning correctly. You want to turn this, make sure that your front left one, when it turns counterclockwise, your back left one does this, your back right one does the same. These two are the same. As you're turning it, your front right one should be going clockwise, and your back left one should also be going clockwise. So these two are a match. Confirm that's true. Another way you can check, make sure things are correct direction. With all these lined up, the inner rotors, the ones toward the inside of the model, they should all be facing the canopy. The leading edge should. That's another way to make sure they're all doing the right thing. Notice when you turn this one, they also all move in toward the canopy. It's another quick way of checking the direction to make sure they're going the right way. Also confirm that when the slider goes up on each of them, as the slider goes up, that your blades are going toward positive pitch. So you know you have all the directions correct. That's just a good quick thing to check, because if that's wrong, the model can crash when you try to take off. Just check those directions, make sure they're okay. Another thing on the controls, you just want to confirm that these balls aren't too tight. You want to be able to just lightly turn them, and they tend to spin on the ball. You can see that there, that's actually spinning on the ball, lightly turning. Now this one, when I try to turn it, it's tight. It doesn't really want to turn. So the way you fix that is you pop the link off, and you take a ball link reaming tool, put it in there, and turn it a few times to get it loose. That's just sizing the link. In a lot of cases you don't need to do this, but it's just good to check to see if you do. If for some reason it is tight, really all it's going to do is make the model not perform quite as well. The gyros won't hold quite as well. It may oscillate a little bit on you and hovering, but it won't tend to crash or anything. It just won't fly quite as well. Another thing, while you have this off, just confirm that the slider moves up and down freely. If it doesn't, you check, make sure no bolts are in any odd position, everything's inserted correctly. You can also add just a tiny bit of oil. We use gun oil just to loosen it, just a lightweight oil. That's about it on the controls. On the machine internally, looking when you get the canopy off, you want to make sure you have all the wires laid out properly. Just double check. We've already gone through it, but it's good to double check it. Make sure everything's wound up properly. It's proper location. Make sure your wires are away from the motor. The exact plug-in layout of the motor we'll do when we're actually flying to confirm it's fitting the right way, but just make sure everything's in its right location. As far as the motor belt, it's good to just check it and confirm that it's not too tight. You should be able to lightly move the belt side to side, and it moves to show you it has sort of light tension on it. You can also hold this, and when you move it, you see the belt flex a little bit, so you know it's about the right tension. It should come perfectly fine in the kit. You shouldn't have to adjust anything. But if for some reason your kit is odd and this is really tight, what it will result in is the model, one, your batteries will tend to drain fast. The motor might tend to get hotter than normal, and you might get some oscillations through the machine because you're actually bending so much tension and actually bending the drive shaft, which causes extra vibrations. If for some reason that's the case, which it shouldn't be, but if it was, then you might have to remove the motor and slightly elongate the holes to get a little looser belt tension. That shouldn't be the case. It should be perfectly fine stock, but that's just something to watch for. And of course, make sure your set screws are all tight on the motor. Make sure when it's lined up that when this belt is riding in the center of its pulley, that this belt can ride along the center part of its pulley as well, so it's not riding hard against either end. And if you've pushed them all the way down and tightened them, it should line up on its own already. But just something good to watch. Another thing to do is just grab the rotors, slightly turn them. That'll make sure nothing is inherently loose. You can also grab up and push up and down on the shafts to make sure none of the shafts where the set screws in the wrong place, so they have vertical play. That's about it on the model. Once you've gone through and checked all the basic screws, checked the belt directions, checked that everything's tight, checked your belt tension here is okay, you should be ready to fly. So I'd move on to our flying video.